Hey, thanks, guys. I could probably turn my mics on. That'd be good. Thank guys. Good job looking out. Appreciate you. Appreciate you mentioning that. Yeah, I do have the. I do tend to have microphones muted when I've got the guys in the lobby. When I've got the music playing, I want to make sure that my guest has an opportunity to sort of collect their thoughts and not be like a deer in the headlights, just jumping straight into a live stream. Yeah, if I did, it was not just you. Thank you for saying something. So, guys, I have with me on today's episode, I've got Jeff Galloway from Safecoin. Jeff, thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. And I have technical problems all the time, too. I've actually never done a live stream without my internet cutting out. So I've got 3 internet feeds coming on right now. I think we should be good.
Nice. Yeah, it's crypto, man. It's all about fallback, right? All about fallback systems. So awesome. Jesse, thank you for the invocation of the crypto god shining upon our sound system. I thank you. Surely that is what made things change. So, guys, definitely appreciate you being tuned into the YouTube stream, and definitely appreciate our BitTube viewers over there. As you know, I've been making an effort to support the BitTube platform with original content as well. So there are going to be some interviews, not project interviews, but there are going to be some other value-added bits of content that go out to that channel alone. But the project interviews will be broadcast to both. So thank you for being in both places. So, Jeff, let's talk a little bit about Safecoin, and let's play kind of a game here. Let's pretend like we're in Silicon Valley and we're pitching for development dollars, right? And as though everybody in this audience, the way that they want to develop your project is in one of a couple of ways. There may be some developers who want to work pro bono, and there may be some miners who want to contribute to your network, or node operators who want to contribute to your network in a meaningful way. And I'm not gonna pretend like anybody in this audience is a qualified investor. And for the audience's benefit, the disclaimer, I don't believe that either Jeff or myself are giving any investment advice or soliciting qualified investment. But it's just a game. We'll pretend like all the answers are kind of filtered through that, put through that filter of talking to serious people who want to help your project succeed if you can get them to believe in it. That's the caveat. So no pressure, right? No pressure. Whew. So let's talk a little bit about where the original problem was. If we can sort of form a high-level problem statement, like you hear in a lot of pitches out of Silicon Valley, what was the big problem? What itch did you want to scratch when deciding to work on Safecoin?
That was back in 2013, where I first came up with the idea. It was very apparent then that safety was a huge problem with cryptocurrency. So I immediately jumped on the name at that time. 2018, still probably the biggest problem with cryptocurrency, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. And I'm sorry, I'm going to interrupt really fast and ask you to turn up your microphone a little bit. So as you're outlining this problem, we'll latch onto that keyword and we'll jump into the deep dive in just a moment, but we will come back to this. But I'd like you to check your audio levels really fast. And I apologize, I didn't catch this before, but I'm mirroring what I need to have done. You'll go to audio, test computer mic and speakers, and then you will uncheck automatically adjust microphone, and you'll move that slider all the way to the right. It might seem like you're going to blow out everybody's eardrums. I promise you won't.
Okay. Is this any better?
Actually, yeah, it's quite good.
Better or worse?
Better.
Okay, I can't hear you at all, but if you can hear me.
Oh. Uh-oh.
Okay, how about now?
I can hear you. Are you hearing audio in that direction now?
I can hear you, yeah. I don't think I fixed my problem, though. I can try and speak a little louder.
Okay, both would be good. The audience, they want to hear what you have to say clearly.
Great. Yeah. Okay. That might be the best I can do. Is this any good?
Yes, that's
okay,
good.
I'll speak loud.
Okay. All right. So you outlined kind of a high level problem of basically safety being an issue in crypto that you saw.
Yeah. Not just in crypto. I think generally in the world it's a problem. You can tackle it from two different angles. But in order for crypto to accomplish the things we want it to accomplish, it has to be a lot safer than it was in 2013 and a lot safer than it is now. We're just starting to get to a point where we can envision crypto being properly safe.
Okay. Got it. And so help me understand, let's do a slightly deeper dive, and let's define what safety means to you. What areas of safety did you see were a problem, like securing networks, securing personally identifying information, safety of assets and securities?
Well, there's the safety of the users, which is key, and that ties into privacy as well. There's the safety of the chain as well. I think I would say we're focusing quite a bit right now on actual security of the chain, making sure that the chain is safe. I think a lot of cryptocurrencies are doing this right now. It's been identified as a problem. So if I was going to pick one that we're focusing on at the moment, that would be the biggest one. When we started this blockchain, we forked Komodo, and we did that with both in mind. So Komodo is a fork of Zcash. It has private addresses. It allows safety and privacy to the user, but it also has blockchain security. It has the ability in the code, you can activate it to be nearly 51% proof. We'll say 51% attack resistant. Probably the most of any POW-based coin. So that's the code we forked. And it also has a lot of other usability cases to actually bring that safety out to the market so that people can use it. It has an extremely high transaction per second benchmarking. And because of with that, it works well on decentralized exchanges. It basically allows for safe blockchain, safe usage, and it allows for ways to get that actually out to the mainstream.
Okay, got it. So that was the primary consideration. Then was ensuring that users felt and knew that their interests were protected, that they could safely use the network, use the coins, and store value and exchange value.
That's the end goal. Yeah.
Okay, got it. Hey, from a PR perspective, that's a safe play. It's a really good play, actually. I think a lot of people who were monitoring crypto at that time, and for me, I was tangentially aware at the time. I wasn't very active in the crypto space, but I had family that was in 2013, and so I was dusted my first few Satoshis in 2013. I'll put it that way.
Nice.
But it was cool, right? I mean, for all I know, it was probably like 10,000 Satoshis. Somebody probably tried to buy a pizza for me, and I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Oh well.
I did that too.
But yeah, it has seemed like an issue there, and it does seem like usability, certainly from that safety standpoint of like, do I know, like, do you know where your keys are? It's 11 p.m. Do you know where your keys are? It's 1 a.m. Could you remember your keys if you needed to, or where you put them if you absolutely had to? In the same way that you can, reach for some other form of payment, can you use crypto? So that definitely seems like a really great way of framing usability. Let me ask you. Oh, wow. I'm like, there we go. Dang. BitTube is not working the way I hoped. But why a new fork? So you mentioned forking from Komodo, right? So why a new fork as opposed to maybe working with existing teams or with existing capital or with existing momentum to become a vocal faction of that community to then create change within that current movement?
Right. Well, I can answer that question very easily. It's the tricky part is like, it's hard to answer that question without shitting on other coins, which is really not what I want to do either.
Well, there are over 2,000 now, so I don't think it can be avoided at this point. There's somebody's going to get their feelings hurt when you say we departed. So
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'll start off with positives. I'm going to say again that, to be honest, now we don't have everything activated. I'm just going to say, be clear about that. We're still a very young coin. So not all our features are turned on, but our code base from Komodo is, I would say, I'd be confident in saying that it is superior. So now I just shit on a whole bunch of coins, so I'm sorry. But it is literally for the purpose of safety. That's why we forked it. It's the only one that has the ability to be 51% attack proof and still be POW based. It has notary nodes. It's more usable in the real world. You can do far more transactions with it. It just has a ton of safety and security features in it that other blockchains simply don't have.
Okay.
So I can't say enough positive things about Komodo. So and not to put down a lot of the other Zcash coins. Zcash itself, which we're obviously forked from as well, is fantastic for user privacy and security. So we're very proud to be forked from Zcash. We're very proud to be forked from Komodo. We don't mean to shit on any of the other coins, but I think they speak for themselves. So the question is, why didn't we latch on to Zcash? Quite frankly, I think Komodo has a lot of features that Zcash just doesn't have. Why didn't we latch on with Komodo? I have a tremendous amount of respect for Komodo. They're just a simply different, it's a different emission, it's a different market, it's a different focus entirely. They did a 50% ICO, and so basically sold off half their coins right to begin with. And we're just taking a totally different approach, and that's something that wouldn't work for us.
Got it. I think in 2018, it's safe to say that most crypto supporters wouldn't, they really wouldn't stand for a 50% ICO today for a new coin launch today. I mean, unless surely a commenter is going to be like, "Oh, Seth, let me show my favorite coin now," and they're totally doing a 50% ICO. But I, at least speaking for myself, I can't imagine giving vocal support to a project that today would be like, "Oh yeah, that's a good idea. Let's take 50% of the coin supply up front."
Well, to be said, they came up with a lot of really innovative stuff. So if there's a case to be made for it, they could make that case. It obviously just wasn't one that we supported. We wanted to go a different direction, and I think we were justified to do that. So, yeah.
Okay, got it. So that makes perfect sense then. It seems like with the start of the Komodo project that you didn't see there being maybe enough incentive or room to continue with them, and with the Zcash Foundation, certainly I've seen some of those conversations. It seems like it'd probably be hard to get a word in edgewise, if I had to guess. Okay, fair enough. All right. Without any disrespect to the Zcash Foundation, they do great work. They've done historically great work.
Absolutely.
So yeah, awesome. That makes sense to me. So let's talk a little bit about specific problems that you wanted to solve first in forking to this new direction. And maybe we can get a little bit granular. We can get a little low level here if you want to. Talk about those technical problems, the technical hurdles that you had to overcome in order to blaze your own trail.
Tons. So we forked a very difficult blockchain to fork, for sure. It has a lot of features. We're still activating those features now. We're figuring out how we want to implement them. We had to figure out interest. One of the things our blockchain does is give out interest. We actually took that out for a few security issues, but more importantly, it actually just became more recently a regulatory thing, where we just figured it'd be better not to have the interest in there. Sure.
And I can see that how the regulatory climate has changed between 2017 and 2018 in the United States. I take it you're based in the lower 48.
The upper, I'm in Canada.
Yeah. Nice. Well, you're as, I'll say this then, you're as American as they get. We love Canada.
That's right. We're good.
Awesome. So, okay, that's great. And I can see even still, proximity matters too. And the regulatory environment is so close, right? Yeah, the SEC sneezes and Canadian financial systems catch cold, right? Like, are the first to catch cold. Yeah. So definitely get that. All right, that makes sense. There are some teams, I know there's some teams that have decided to go with staking, who are forks of Zcash, decided to go with staking and rewards, and they've got a bit of a headache to deal with there.
There's a lot to figure out. Now, because of what we're forked from, every time we rebase to Komodo, we have a whole bunch of new features and new problems to address. So we are very fortunate to have forked from them. That was a very good decision we made. So for instance, when we're still trying to figure out exactly how we want to implement the notary nodes, which allow us to be 51% resistant, 51% attack resistant. Along with that, as we're just getting ready to figure that out, they introduced proof of stake. So we have staking in our code as well now.
Cool.
They actually just produce code at an extremely high rate. So we're just figuring out now how to really address staking and notary nodes, and getting a framework around that. And just as we did that, they introduced smart contracts. So now we're figuring that out. So there's a lot to do for sure, and we're still facing lots of technical hurdles, bringing on developers, finding ways of using this code as well as introducing our own ideas. Got
it. Okay. Let's talk about that in just a moment. What I'm going to do is I'm going to move into the screen share so we can start taking a look at the project website, and we can go over the white paper, go over the roadmap, and then start answering audience questions as they come up. You've already answered one person's question with regards to location. So it sounds like you are in Canada, and the remainder of the team is based where internationally?
Everywhere. Wow. Yeah, I'm from Canada, and we have a number of members from the U.S. I didn't ask for their permission actually to give out their locations, but
got it.
Generally speaking, a number of them are in the U.S. There are ones we have quite a few from Germany and Russia, Switzerland, Croatia, pretty much all across Europe, Eastern Bloc. So it's spread out quite nicely, and it's really interesting working with the team and kind of combining all those different perspectives. And everybody pretty much gets along in everything until we start talking about sports or soccer.
Right? Yeah, trying to determine, are we talking about soccer or are we talking about American football? What is it that we're actually getting at here? I hear you. Again, one of the uniquely North American problems is exposure. Right. Exposure to this, I'll say to the culture. I won't say to the stupid. That makes it sound self-loathing, which I'm not. But at the same time, apologies to our international audience. They're like, you're already saying it wrong. Don't give them ideas. It's all just football. Awesome. So it sounds like then you've got a core development team. Then do you represent the core development team, or what is your title outside of founder? Do you operate as CTO, CEO, or are you a technical employee? Are you an engineer?
I'm going to call myself founder at this point. I don't really want to structure as like a company. We are looking at becoming more of a foundation. That's not 100% sorted out yet, but more of a foundation structure. We're really looking trying to solve world problems for currency rather than starting a corporation. So for the moment, I'll say founder, and I guess I'd be lead dev by default. So I do a lot of the development, but a lot of our other team does development too, and we all kind of work together and share ideas. It is very much a team effort, and we rely on each other a lot to come up with the best solutions.
Awesome. Okay, so then it sounds like you are the high-level architect at this point, and to date, you've been able to implement some of the changes and direction that you see necessary for your project, but now the scope has kind of...
Huge.
Yeah. Based on what I'm hearing, I can't imagine one person maintaining this project.
No, I think definitely... And I already take a lot of feedback from our community and a ton from our team. So our team makes a lot of our decisions. I do listen to them, and obviously I weigh my opinions on them. A lot of stuff happens that I don't even know about until 3 days later, and that's good, because as you get larger, like, people need to be able to have the freedom, as long as they understand the general team direction, to go ahead and get things done. And we're growing into that now, and we're seeing a lot of leadership within our team. So it's great.
Okay, Heidi, hold your horses there, Heidi. We'll have some tough questions. You got to come up with some, all right? It was a team effort. Right. Heidi, Crypto Heidi is in the house. I appreciate you stopping by. Heidi. Yeah. And so we've got, let's see who else we have. Let me do some shout outs here really quickly. We got T-Bone, T-Blackier from the Discord channel, Smooth Crypto. Thank you, sir. And several others. Ryan L. Gill, thank you. Our ever vigilant moderator. So you guys go ahead and queue up your questions in the comment section there, and we'll be bringing those up to Jeff as we get a moment to do so.
Well, good. I'm not looking at the chat. I'm just looking at your reaction to the comments.
That's probably for the best. I mean, it's a respectful community, right? We're all here primarily for the same thing, I think, and that is to see blockchain be refined into the best possible version of what it can be, regardless of if that was Satoshi's vision or not, right? Yeah. So I think most of us share that goal, and we try to kind of all huddle around it and lift where we can, right? So we've got some questions there. Yes, actually, Sound Effects and More does ask the most important question, and I listed it in the description of this video. When glow in the dark Lambo?
When Lambo? Well, we're in this for the long run. We recently changed our emissions to a 10-year emissions. I think your coin wants to be, you want to have your blockchain extremely well established before you completely move out of proof of work. So we've extended our proof of work phase out to 10 years, and we're not afraid to change. We're constantly looking to be better, and I'm thinking probably Lambo in the next 1 or 2 days.
Sweet. Okay. Well, let me know what I need to do to show your project, because I want exactly one half of that Lambo. All right. So awesome. I've got a really relevant question here, and we'll jump back into it as we get into team. But as far as upcoming projects that you want to solve, what's something that's either on the roadmap or in the white paper that, as a technical hurdle, you are interested in tackling next?
Oh, just one?
Try to go with an ordered list. What's at the top?
At the top of the list right now, we're going to go back to security. Security is always going to be on top of our list, and everything outside of security and safety is going to come second to that. So we're looking at implementing proof of stake, notary nodes. Basically, we're looking at ways of preventing 51% attacks, civil attacks, other forms of exploits. And a lot of that's in our code base now. We just have to think very carefully about how we implemented it. I waited 5 years to release the blockchain, so I don't panic on decisions. We're looking at it very carefully. Those are always our top ones. Outside of that, I think a big one is doing other things with proof of work, actually making proof of work benefit society or add value to the world.
Awesome. Okay. If you've been watching some of the interviews that I've done with other project teams, then that's a high priority for me as well. I'm very interested in talking about publicly with different coin projects what it will take for proof of work to turn into something useful. So I just want to do a quick shout out to BitTruth, who made the channel art for my YouTube channel. You can see some of his comments in the comment section here. And if you are a crypto YouTuber, I would highly recommend engaging his services. But as far as tackling those projects and putting them on the roadmap, definitely I think your project is to be applauded there. I think that proof of work is something where we're throwing tons of compute cycles at cryptographic hashing, which right now is a useful endeavor, but I think that we need to put a moratorium on it. We need to figure out how much longer do we engage in this arms race where we throw more and more and more silicon and more and more and more kilowatts at this problem.
Yeah.
So I'm with you. Okay, that's awesome. Let's talk a little bit about your team. Just a little bit. I had a question before about where the team is located, but without necessarily calling anybody out or doing anything that could pierce the veil of anonymity for members of your team that want to remain anon. What are some of the core competencies shared among your core developers?
Well, we have, without a question, we attract a lot of people interested in security for sure. And not all of them are directly on our team. Some of them just don't like our name, so they come and they point out security issues to us, or they try to help us out with ways to make it safer. And then on our development team, we have a lot of people who just are genuinely skilled but good people who want good things. We tend to attract that. We have a lot of Linux users who believe strongly in open source. Pretty much everything we put out, we're able to get it out open source or have a goal of open source on it. And they're constantly asking how things are protected, how we're securing our IPs, constantly looking at the blockchain, asking questions about every raw transaction. So we have that for sure. We just have a lot of people who actually really care.
Nice. Well, huge fan of the free and open source community. So anybody who's working on FOSS projects has my implicit endorsement. So that's super cool. Sounds like then, what percentage of your team would you say is trying to stay anonymous? And is there anybody who you could highlight for the purposes of a discussion about team right now?
I would say maybe 10% of our team would like to be anonymous. The other 90%, not so much. I still have to be careful, like how much information I give out.
Sure.
But you can see most of the information there is kind of highlighted there. And people are free to look at those names and
sure.
Google them if they want to. Pretty much everybody in the top row is from the U.S.
Yeah. Hey, I know Bishoy. He was on the show before. Bishoy is he's out there. He's out there. So runs a very notable Equihash pool actually, or did. I don't know if he's going to be making changes there. So good to see him there.
Oh, yeah.
And huge open source community, a huge open source supporter. So it's good people. And very cool. Okay, so you got a lot of folks working on support and operations, it looks like. And would you say then the core of your actual development team is that they are anon? Because I'm not seeing anybody here with any kind of a title that would indicate that they're working on the code base.
So people who have helped with the code base, Bishoy has obviously helped quite a bit. Gary has helped as well. So Gary does do some development. We have Dave. Dave has helped quite a bit. Sorry, just like can you scroll down a little bit?
Sure.
Well, there's my team. There we go. So Alexander does an incredible amount of work for us on the technical development side. So we just put operations because literally he does everything. So he's run marketing programs. He does a ton of support. If you have trouble with your wallet or if you have questions and you go in, especially if you speak Russian, you go in and he'll be the first one to help you. A lot of these guys just put an incredible amount of effort in. Johnny can do code as well. And at the bottom there, we have Weeks Vanderzee. Now he is also with mining speed. So if you have issues on mining speed, he'll also help you with that. He's done a lot of really interesting work, not directly with our code, but basically how the blocks are created and what happens during the mining process. So very, very technical there as well. He provided us a lot of information and helped us when we switched over to Equihash 1445.
Very cool. Okay, so we'll jump into a discussion about ASICs and ASIC resistance a little bit later on, but it sounds like you've recently made the change then from Equihash to Equihash 1445.
Sure have.
How many days have you been on Equihash 1445? What's the experience been like so far?
We were the second to implement it. We implemented it a couple days after Bitcoin Z. We let them go first just to make sure.
Was that Bishoy like, wait, hold on, we're going to send a canary into the coal mine first?
We volunteered to be the canary, but it was really their idea, so they went first and everything went out really well.
Cool.
But we went after them and immediately, so we set our difficulty to drop to 0, and there was a huge rush of blocks. It was very exciting for everybody. But we were the last coin to really do that after that, because by that time there were so many Zhash miners that if you set your difficulty to 0, like awful things would happen to the chain. But yeah, so we've been on it. We were on it just 2 days after Bitcoin Z, and it's worked out really well for our team. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about. You mentioned some of the background of the team that you have there. Let me ask, as far as the mindset and some of the culture of the team. When I interviewed Bishoy with the other group, they have a specific culture, and I know he's very much into supporting open source projects. What would you say is kind of the driving force or the unifying vision? What gets a Safecoin developer out of bed every morning and gets them saying like, awesome, I'm so glad that I'm attached to this project and I'm going to put in 12 hours of work today to make it better?
Yeah, some of them do a lot more than that. It's kind of amazing. And we do have a few more team members and shows on the website, but those are really some of our core people too. Yeah, just the whole idea of actually providing open source safety, I think is appealing to a lot of people. Pretty much all of us have been scammed by a coin. Everybody's been scammed by some kind of coin or some kind of exchange. And
well, I hope you hodled your Doge. Dang. That was the long shot. It was the long shot that paid off.
That's right. Yeah, no kidding. Everybody wants to see it. Everybody believes in the idea that if everybody shares information, everybody works on the same code and cooperates to make it better, you're eventually going to come up with a quality product that is ahead of hackers, that can be safe for users and withstand attacks. So I think everybody's very excited about that, and I think everybody's just very excited about the idea of cryptocurrency taking over fiat, and we believe safety is the best way to get there. Nice.
Definitely. I mean, it couldn't hurt with the conversations regarding the SEC and the IRS, and then all of the international, versions of the IRS. Every national IRS that's out there, kind of very eager to get their grubby paws on our crypto. It couldn't hurt to make it attractive to individuals first, and hopefully to governments too.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so as far as team compensation, I got a question in the comments about whether there are bounties that are being offered to developers, or if there is any kind of a stipend. Is there any kind of financial backing? Is there a development fund? If so, what does that look like?
They all get the same amount I sent to you right before the show.
Wow. Wow. Then it's Lambo time all around. Oh, nice. Okay, so for anybody who's new to the show, maybe you're visiting from the Safecoin community, the ongoing joke is that I don't ask for any bounties, and actually I don't accept them from coin projects because I feel like that would cause a lack of, well, it would cause a bias, right? We wouldn't be able to have an open conversation about these coin projects, and I would refrain from asking certain questions that are asked in my comments section. And I would refrain from asking any questions that may catch the project leads off guard. And it's not that I want to throw Jeff off guard. I don't want to throw him off guard or make him represent his project poorly. I want him to represent his project accurately. So I want to be able to ask any question that helps him to do that, to represent it accurately. So yeah, awesome. So it sounds like then everybody's in this for the shared vision.
Yeah, now I do get bounties, don't get me wrong. So team members have gotten bounties for sure. One unique thing we did, the way we launched, so again, this comes back to the idea of the 50% ICO. We basically gave away half our coins. We have a market cap or our max supply of 36.2 million. And about half of that was given away in the first 3 months with block rewards of 128 coins per block reward. So a lot of our team is heavily invested for sure. When Safecoin started, we definitely did advertise ourselves. We went on Bitcoin Talk, we went in lots of communities and said, look, this is what we're doing. A lot of people believed us. A lot of people did not believe us. But the people who believed and wanted to be a part of it, even if you weren't the biggest miner in the world, if you believed in it and you put a little bit of effort into it, you could get a lot of coins. So definitely we have a lot of people who are invested because they believed in it and actually were able to get themselves in there. Even now, we still offer 7 times more block rewards than any other Equihash coin.
Okay.
We're still trying to grow our community and bring on people. So that still stands now. If you're interested in safety and security, and if you think that's key to making crypto a world currency, to making it reality for the mainstream, you still have opportunity to get on and get yourself some Safecoin and work with our community and our team.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like then, so bounties are being offered to developers that help to hit milestones, or who just come in during times of like crunch time when you need to address threats, or how does it typically work as far as the bounty program for developers? I'm asking specifically for developers because, as you know, it takes a small army of people to build anything in code, right? Anything worth having in code. So that's why I'm curious about them.
Yeah, and I value the whole team, development or not. Definitely, you're absolutely right. Developers are key, and a lot of coins take developers for granted simply because the work they put in takes longer to add value. So, a developer can spend 6 months on something, and it takes a year or 2 years to really realize that value, where a marketer can send out whatever they send out and you see the results the next day. We put a lot of emphasis on the developers. Bug bounties. One thing, we don't have an official bug bounty program, but we are very well connected with people who are good with the code and know how exploits work. And we definitely pay out bounties for finding bugs and finding exploits. That's really, really critical for us. And that's a shout out to anybody else out there who's interested in that. There's an opportunity here for you. It's called our testnet. So give me a shout.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we do get a lot of developers that tune in to some of these projects to see where there's a need and see where they can contribute. So you heard it here first, guys. Let me ask you, Jeff, as far as core languages, frameworks, or skill sets that you're looking for in being able to either find those bugs in the test net or contribute in some other meaningful way, what are some development skills that you're looking for?
Literally everything. We're trying to really reach the end goal. Like, we're interested in cryptographers. We're interested in people who understand the blockchain well, who can do testing with raw transactions and find holes, who understand the consensus mechanisms. Coding languages, definitely. I mean, C++ is a plus. But we're in everything. We have a ton of JavaScript, just a ton of JavaScript. We have Ruby. We do work in Python as well. But probably the biggest ones are C++ and JavaScript for sure. Having familiarity with the blockchain helps a ton. But it's amazing. We are able to incorporate skills from everywhere. So we have people who are just really good designers, and we incorporate that. People who are good on end user stuff, who can make social media applications. Those people are very interesting to us as well, and we just put them together with other people and find ways to blockchain it.
Got it. Awesome. So I've got. I just want to quickly call out Agent Smith from the Zellcash project, who's in the comments, and he gave you a shout out. He said Safecoin is a solid project. So. Thank you, Dan. Yeah. Good to see you in the comments, Dan. Thank you for being supportive, too, of the community. Luke is saying JavaScript is lame. Your comment is lame, Luke. That's what they need, okay? And
we don't have any server-end JavaScript. Yeah. There.
I appreciate that you had that answer at the ready. A little defense. Yeah. So it sounds like you're looking for a little lower level with the C++. Okay, cool. That's great. So as far as I actually had a couple of other audience questions that I thought were pretty darn good. And Luke, I was just kidding. JavaScript is kind of lame. You're right. And Jeff acknowledges it too. But it's not always lame.
React is pretty cool, but yeah, it can get really hairy.
Yeah, I mean, every other project is looking for Node specialists, right? Node.js. So it's the thing. So, all right. So we got a couple of other questions. I don't know that I'm getting too many really substantial questions other than people just kind of wanting to know a little bit about, the direction of the project by way of building value in the coin. So I'm just going to call out one really great question from Thomas Turner saying, safety is good. Any philosophy on stable price or common use?
Yeah. You need a stable price for sure. Everybody's kind of trying not to watch Bitcoin every day as it on the market. But
it's like looking away from a slow motion train wreck. You can't, right? These days, it's like, oh.
You have to limit yourself on how often you look at it. But the truth is, it's actually been pretty stable in the last few months, and that's good for crypto. As hard as it has been to watch, I don't think there's ever been a time where there's been more actual use of crypto in the real world. And there's still a ton of opportunity there, but you can see it coming. You can see it in every shopping mall now, in airports. You talk to, like they do studies, 85% of people in North America are currently aware of what Bitcoin is. And I'm assuming the other 15% like Ethereum. So
they're waiting for the flippening.
That's right. So it's just hit us now. Like the world's just become aware of crypto. So the stable price is good. To have a stable price. I mean, we obviously want to grow in value because we're so new. So I mean, like our goals are substantially higher than what our valuation is right now. But generally, having stable prices in crypto is very helpful. That's something we want.
Nice. So thank you so much, Agent Smith. Thanks, Dan, for the super chat. He says, "Keep cranking, bud." And I think Jeff, he's talking to you.
Nice.
He could be. I don't know. He was very specific. So awesome. I've got a question from Terry B about the safe nodes and how they are substantially different from master nodes in your roadmap.
Sure. Well, first off, I think earlier we were talking about notary nodes, which is something we have in our code.
Would you like me to pull up the roadmap or the white paper? Is there one that would be a better visual aid?
Probably roadmap.
Okay.
So anyway, we have notary nodes in our system. So the problem with most master nodes is they don't really do anything. So we're not really interested in that. And we've taken our time there. What we're looking for is a node which will actually, it's basically like a different level of decentralization that allows for some control and protection. And that's really going to be key to our coin. When we implement our safe nodes, they will almost definitely be using significant portions of the notary node code, which allows the coin to be 51% attack resistant. Really no other master node does that other than the notary nodes. So this will actually allow our coin to not be torn apart.
Cool. Yeah. Very cool. So as far as operating one of these notary nodes, tell me a little bit about, for the benefit of my audience. Okay, let's go back to that initial question and kind of framing this audience as potential investors who want to invest their resources. Somebody wanting to operate a notary node. What's the required collateral? What's the required hardware?
We've made no official announcement on that yet. The numbers that the community and the team have thrown out are a tiered approach where entry level would be somewhere between 10 and 20,000. And then it would go up from there. And that's not an official statement. We're still discussing that, and we may change it. But that's kind of what we're looking at. Now, we want them for the long term, and they're probably going to be put out not only tiered, but over time, we're going to have different phases of them. So the first phase might be very notary node-like, and users can go look on the Komodo site and kind of see basically what Komodo has is what our base code is. That's what we're really starting from, and that's some fantastic technology. Now, where we may go from there, as eventually we're going to be implementing a decentralized exchange. Now, the interesting thing is every single coin says they're going to implement a decentralized exchange.
It's because they don't want to burn in hell. They've been cursed by Vitalik.
That's right.
I mean, as much as possible.
So it's going to be interesting. The next year, we're going to see 1,800 new decentralized exchanges.
Right. All with 2 coins each.
That's right.
They'll be trading exactly 1 pair.
Yeah. So we actually have code for it, which works with our coin, and we have Komodo to thank for that as well. So we put some thought into what blockchain we've worked. So it's not just an announcement, it's something that we have in code, and it's complete. Now, when the decentralized exchange gets implemented, one of the things we're looking at is how those transactions are handled, and is there a way that that our safe nodes can actually facilitate those transactions to make them faster and more secure and more trusted. And we think that's possible. So what you would get into is a situation where the nodes in our first phase would have a similar structure, potentially to notary nodes. And then from there, they would sort of evolve and may take on a portion of the transaction fees for the decentralized exchange. So basically allowing our decentralized exchange to be better, more usable, more secure, and providing a financial incentive to the safe notes holders.
Awesome. Awesome. I love hearing that. I love hearing, yeah, anytime node operators have to put that hardware to work as opposed to provisioning a single thread and 1 gig of RAM on, on centralized VPS providers. I love hearing that.
I did just imply, yes, that, there may be some resource requirements.
Yeah, no, it's great. That's great if it's possible to require just a little bit more. And it's funny because, I don't know, At what point does this concept, because everyone's talking a little bit about service nodes, rather it is a growing trend, I should say. Ideas want to be free, right? So this idea is trying to break out, and so there's more talk in 2018 of service nodes, and I'm not sure at what point we have to start calling it some kind of additional useful work that's being done on the network.
Yeah, and what that work will be for sure. So we have a few ideas there. One of them is actually facilitating transactions, facilitating the exchange to have more of the features of a centralized exchange, using those nodes to provide that. In terms of useful proof of work, for myself, my background is that I'm a data guy. I'm also actually, my background is in biology. I'm a neural network guy. So we are planning some surprises there too. I don't. It's too early to speak to them, but that's really where crypto needs to go, I think, and I think we have an advantage there.
Okay. Cool. So I'm going to quickly just shout out a question that Agent Smith has asked, seeing as he is the super chat leader for this live stream. He's asking, why notary nodes? He says Komodo has had issues, and it seems issues with it, and it seems somewhat familiar.
Yeah, they a few months ago they had issues with forking off their chain, which was kind of ironic and unfortunate and concerning. They have resolved those issues. Now, when I say we're going to use their technology, we are. That's why we forked it. Are we going to implement it the exact same way? No. If we were going to do that, we would have done it 5 months ago. We're looking for our own implementation. I personally think there should be more nodes than what they have. I shouldn't say that. For our community, for what we're trying to achieve, I'd like more nodes than that. They're relied on a little bit too heavily, I feel, for what we're trying to do. Again, so the nodes can operate in different ways. You can have them basically store transactions onto other blockchains, or you can have them not do that, and you can have them do something else.
I've got a great question from Noem. How will you fund notarizations? How will you fund, I guess maybe a different way of framing that is, what are the block rewards? How is the block reward structure for these notary nodes?
The block reward structure. Okay, so I think he's asking how much they'll get in block rewards.
That's the way I'm reframing it, because Noem is just asking how will you fund notarizations.
Okay. So I can't see his message, so I'm going to answer. There's two ways of thinking of that, so I'll answer both. For one, notary nodes are a little bit different than master nodes in that they can actually involve other blockchains. So what Komodo had to do for their notary nodes to work is they actually had to buy a whole bunch of Bitcoin. And then that's actually how they operate their notary nodes, is they use that Bitcoin to secure their chain. So that may or may not be what he's talking about there. We're not going to notarize Bitcoin. It's just too damn expensive. It doesn't mean we can't do it in the future, but there's other ways. We looked at a few things. One of the things we've looked at doing is notarizing proof of stake coin. Basically, a coin which maybe is a little bit more affordable, but is already 51% attack resistant. So if he's referring to that, that's one option we've looked at. We're also looking at another option which doesn't involve any notarization of actual other blockchains, but that's something we're still researching. Now, his other question is to what kind of block. The other question he could be asking is kind of what rewards are we going to get? Like what block rewards will we get from the notary notes? And we're going to do it in phases. So the first phase will. You've seen us do the same thing with our block rewards now. Is what we actually do is we phase the emissions, so they change very slowly. So they'll phase in probably at around 10%. At some point, they'll go to 50%, and then we'll have to make a decision as to whether we want to go higher than 50 or not.
Okay, awesome. Okay, so we've got some great questions there in terms of just sort of how the nodes are going to work. I think that's what we got so far from the comments section. Let me jump into this is something of a lightning round, something of a bonus round.
Nice.
ASICs. Let's talk about ASICs. Right, it's the topic du jour. I mean, literally Z9 Biggie, as I like to call it, only released in the last 48 or announced in the last 48 hours. 24 hours, right? Okay.
Yeah, I could basically destroy the world.
Yeah, right. Yeah, keep that thing away from the nuke button because we'd be in trouble.
Yeah.
But ASIC resistance, air quotes, is it a thing? Does it matter? If so, why?
Matters a lot. Now it's all a time and a place. So like, I'm not going to bash Bitcoin because they're not ASIC resistant. Bitcoin's obviously a very good coin.
I love that there was a word that I saw on Discord used regarding BitConnect. Guys, now you got into my head. Comment section.
We're going to be implementing Safecoin soon, so stay tuned.
Right, but Bitcoin right now is very anti-fragile, right? In terms of hash rate manipulation. So yeah, ASICs are just not a problem for Bitcoin at least. But they're the king daddy, so.
Yeah, it doesn't work for us, and I think, you have to look at it case by case. We're just not an ASIC community. Our followers don't use ASICs. We are a community coin, so that first of all, that's a very different. So there's different ways of looking at what blockchains are. Some people really believe that blockchains are immutable. They don't change. They follow rules, and those rules are critical for survival of the currency. We are more of a mindset that cryptocurrency is in its infancy. Everything we see now is going to be laughed at in 10 years. And we are not afraid to change. In fact, we think you have to change. In order to be safe, in order to have the most secure system, you have to be able to adapt. So from that perspective, we don't hate ASICs. They just don't work for us right now for where our community's at. And that might change in the future. If we start getting into, so you mentioned useful proofs of work. So if you start getting to that and you start doing calculations that better society or that add financial value or intellectual value or academic value, those calculations probably are not ASIC resistant. So at some point, the ASICs may play a role, but it just does not make sense right now. We're building our community. We're a small coin still. Most of the people who believe in us, who are making this work, are doing so acquiring a coin that we use. And we believe that blockchains are not entirely immutable, that they have to adapt, they have to change. And so we changed for our community.
Awesome. Let's talk a little bit more about that in terms of ASIC resistance. First off, let me shout out to Kev from Kev's crypto channel. Great to see you over here, brother. And I know this is a follow up. If you have any additional questions for Jeff, my channel is your channel. Mikasa Sukasa, brother. Thank you and welcome. Thanks for coming by. I've got a question regarding ASIC resistance and the new EchoHash 1445.
Yeah.
So EchoHash 1445, it has been asserted by an ASIC manufacturer today on Discord. And guys, it's a Scotsman joke asking a Scot to say the word burglar. Ask Kev to say it sometime in his channel. But it's an inside joke among English speakers and gentlemen. But it was asserted on Discord today that EchoHash 1445 is not as ASIC resistant as most think, and certainly with InnoSilicon's ASIC, there may be some low-level control to allow for some penetration of the 1445 networks on ASICs that exist today.
Absolutely. Yep. The whole game of being ASIC resistant is very much cat and mouse game. You have to basically keep moving or go completely proof of stake. For us, I think a lot of coins. So I do believe in the movement. I think it's right for a lot of communities. So I think a lot of communities will have to keep changing their algorithms to match that. And we might too. Now we can clearly see in our hash rate now that we're not being affected by ASICs. And we clearly saw when we were. So they're very obvious on the system. You see them right away on the network. And we have options. We have lots of options. We have personalization strings. We have different ways of defending against them, and it's worked. We basically have to stay ahead of them. The one advantage we have is software can always change faster than hardware. The issue is to what end? What are we trying to achieve in doing so? And changing our algorithm every week. What do we want to do? Right now, it's to build our community. We want to build our community and keep them and make them feel welcome and make it available to as many people as possible. And there's no getting around the fact that in terms of people, there's more people with GPUs. So we're really sticking to that.
Agreed by the numbers. In terms of building a community, more individuals certainly than larger centralized mining farms. That's not even the right way of framing it, I think. But yeah, more individuals certainly with GPUs and smaller GPU rigs. Shout out to Agent Smith, who's also mentioning, he was in the thread. We were actively debating. I mean, it was fast and furious this morning. ASIC debates over breakfast. Good grief! I think all of us were sincerely worried that like the world was coming to an end for a couple of minutes there, but he just said like his head is still spinning. I know mine is. To have an ASIC manufacturer say that like, hey, good job, a-holes, you did nothing, to everybody in the room is like, what, is he serious? Yeah, it was pretty scary. So I totally agree with you, and I think it's worth every possible effort, every reasonable effort to try to stay ahead of that trend. That said, some would argue that the biggest problem, the biggest threat to proof of work and mining is pooled hash rates. So for as long as NiceHash exists, smaller networks and smaller coin projects are threatened. What do you think?
Yeah, NiceHash is no fun. They haven't helped. Technically, they are just a proxy, so they're putting their hands up and saying, look, we got nothing to do with it. That's kind of lame. I think NiceHash could do a hell of a lot more than they are right now to help out smaller coins.
Let's discuss that. What are some measures that you would propose? If NiceHash were tuned into this live stream right now, what would you say to them? I mean, keep it PG.
They're very active in the community.
Right.
They're really all about the community, and money's second to them. I would suspect that it would be extremely easy for them to put caps on it and say, look, like you can't, like they know they have all that information is freely available, like what the network hash rate is. And if your network hash rate's 1 megasol, somebody orders 100 megasols, maybe that's not good for the blockchain. There's probably limits they could put on that, and it would not be hard to do. But of course, their concern would be, well, if they do that, then some competitor could come in without those limits. I don't really believe that, because nobody would support that competitor. They are kind of the leaders, and it's kind of hard to see the leaders act that way. So they could do more, but ultimately, yeah, fair enough. It's a blockchain problem. We have to solve it at the blockchain level. So give them that much. At the end of the day, we have to take ownership of it as devs.
Sure. So, talk to some other Equihash projects, or previously the algo previously known as Equihash. Is that too soon? Should we wait another year for Prince's body to be cold before I make jokes like that? So projects that were previously on Equihash and have since forked. I'm trying to remember. I wanted to name names, but there was at least one project that worked with their exchanges to try to slow down transactions, essentially trying to head off any would-be thieves at the pass, right, before they can liquidate what they've stolen.
Yeah.
I don't know. What other possible remedies would you propose when it comes to being one of the smaller networks on a more broadly used algorithm?
Yeah. Well, we've done that too. Worked with the exchanges. So I think you need short-term and long-term solutions. Like, you have to think, because at the end of the day, we just need to make the blockchain better. The blockchain has to be better. But for right now, for the technology we have right now, yeah, you got to do that. You got to talk to your exchanges. You got to make sure they set the confirmations at a reasonable level. So we've done that as well. To give you a little bit more time, it gives you time to respond. But it also makes it harder for the attacker, because they have to fork the chain for longer. The other thing that does is it makes it extremely obvious to the rest of the community that if it does go on a fork, it gives you time to put notices out so people know something's up, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. So that is a good strategy. It's definitely not an ideal solution. It's not a we fixed 51% attacks solution. But it's a common sense step you can take to mitigate it.
Awesome. Hey, I'm going to call out a comment that I think is pure brills. Thanks, Kev. 48 people watching. Guys, slam that like button. Show your support for this project. Jeff is going out of his way to talk and ask very candid questions in a very open forum with little to no 51% attack protection while we talk. I kid, but with very little preparation. He's really taking these taking any questions that you have in stride. So be sure to hit that like button. Be sure to be supportive, and appreciate the call out there, Kev. Appreciate the support in the comment section, asking good questions. You've heard me say it in other interviews, right? It's okay to be critical of projects, but form some relevant questions with that criticism. Don't just hate. Don't just call everything a scam coin. So, all right. So definitely appreciate. Oh wow! Now the comments are lighting up. But let's jump back into proof of work in general. I really like where you're headed with the idea of your service nodes, but I'm still curious about proof of work in general and where it's headed over the next, I don't know, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. It might even be hard to know. Where it's all headed. But what are your thoughts on proof of work in general moving forward?
I think it's going to have its place, but it's going to change a lot. And you mentioned earlier proof of useful work. Being useful is good. So I mean, like, you can get into polynomials and different kinds of solutions, which might actually help the world. Obviously there's prime coin and things like that. And there's ones that could add more financial value. There's definitely things you can do to make proof of work useful. But I think we're still just in their infancy. Like, everything we're talking about now is going to be laughed at 10 years from now. I really, really do believe we're just in our infancy with this stuff.
Right. It'll be like raves from the 90s. You look back at that footage, you're like, oh my gosh.
Right. Yeah, luckily I don't remember any of those.
Clearly you were there then. That's great.
That's right. No, I still think so. Like, first of all, you have to come up with a really good idea, and then you got to implement it somehow. And I think really we're just at the idea stage. Like, for instance, proof of useful work. I think the actual work part is maybe not as important as the useful part. I look, they have like 69 different definitions for it now. Maybe one of them should be proof of usefulness. As long as it does something useful, then it's worth it.
Nice.
And figure out how to do that, how to protect our chain in a way that's not wasteful.
Yeah, totally agreed. I think maybe these guys need to read some Gary V or something, right? Jab, 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 right hook. You got to provide some value eventually. You can't just be hashing. Like, right. It has to be valuable to a third party. Maybe that's the criteria.
Yeah.
Cool. Mr. Cucho, yes, somebody make, I think there actually is a Seth coin, and I think that actually its token is Sether, like Ether. I'm pretty sure it's on CoinMarketCap. You can look it up, but no, it is not affiliated with my show. So great. We're getting some joke comments here, guys. We probably need to ask you. Kev, yeah, Seth coin, part masternode, part proof of work, all beard. Yes, coming to a decentralized exchange near you, trading only with Doge. So let's ask just a couple other questions. Staking other consensus models. I think you've pretty much shown, based on the interview, that you're very open to the possibility of shifting to different consensus models if proof of stake it can be proven to work and not suck. That you would adopt it. It sounds like.
Yeah, not like we're not going to hop, skip, and jump around too much. The ASICs definitely were not working for us. They had to go. That was really an easy decision and one that we don't regret at all. That's not to say it doesn't work for everybody. It doesn't work for us. We won't hop and skip around and change every week, but I can guarantee you we are going to evolve. There is no way that we're just going to sit still and be exactly like we are right now. So yeah, I'm very open to it. We are definitely looking at proof of stake. I don't agree with 100% proof of stake unless your coin is extremely established, like Bitcoin established. There's just obviously, like, you end up with money piling in places it shouldn't pile.
Oh, agreed. It's centralized power. Again, you basically put the means of block production to the hands of people who already had a form of centralized power. Not to get too like anarcho-capitalist and not to be too much like Robin Hood here. It's not that we have to like dictate the terms by which power is distributed as much as if we're trying to decentralize it. Yeah. To your point. It's far from centralized when you say, like, hey, got a big bag of fiat lying around? You can be a node op. You can stake. Cool. Like, we're totally shaking up the system. All right. It doesn't seem to create much change.
Yeah.
So I agree conceptually with that move as well. So I've got a question from Crypto Heidi, and I really appreciate this. When are you guys going to be listed on an exchange? Do you have that? You already have that on your roadmap, I believe. Or yeah, when do you think you'll be listed on an exchange?
We got listed 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and where are you listed today?
We're on Crex24. And
nice.
We are on Safe Trade as well.
Awesome. Crypto Heidi, her follow-up comment was like, what do you guys think of Crex? So I think he just answered that question. And I wouldn't have guessed that.
Correct. That's a good idea. We'll look into that.
Yeah, for my part, I don't check Crex every single day. I have to fire up the VPN to check it from the lower 48. So kind of a bummer. But so that's awesome. Congratulations there. And then and then Safe Trade, you mentioned you're listed, and that is your decentralized exchange.
That is right, yeah.
Okay. And phenomenal follow-up question from Crypto Heidi. Did you have to pay them to be listed? And can you discuss that openly?
Yep, absolutely. We did have to pay them. It was a relatively small fee. We paid 0.2 Bitcoins. So that was done using pre-mine money. We did not use any donations or anything like that. We sold a very, very small amount of the pre-mine on Safe Trade, which was already in operations. We just felt we should be on more than one exchange. It seemed a little bit too, I don't know what the word is, just didn't seem right to have everything under one umbrella. So we went with the second exchange, and that was done through selling a small amount of pre-mine directly on Safe Trade, and we disclosed it and announced it.
Yep, and Crypto Heidi goes on to exclaim, "Wow, that's nothing." I totally agree. That's very reasonable listing fee.
We've liked them so far, and they're growing like us. Like, they are a young exchange, and they're getting better. So I mean, like, there's exchanges out there who have the same amount of volume who would want like 2 or 3 Bitcoins, and it's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is. It's something else. That's part of the reason that I do these videos, guys. If you're new to the channel or if you're just tuning in, part of the reason that I do these particular interviews is because I think there's not enough transparency, and there are far too many middlemen, far too many people who think they can be gatekeepers, and not allowing for ideas to be exchanged, maybe as they should be, and for ideas to be challenged too.
Yeah.
So let me ask also, these are we're down to the final 2 questions, the 2 most important questions, and we already gave a spoiler before. But the first question is, when are you going to send me those 25,000 safe coins that you promised for this interview?
I already sent it to your Z address before the show.
Oh, he got me. He got me right where it hurts. So again, for anybody who's new to the channel, I do not require bounties. I do not accept bounties. There was a comment actually in this live stream that I take very seriously, and so I do want to address it head on. I'm not a big believer in letting those kinds of accusations go unchallenged. But somebody mentioned, "Hey Seth, so you shill Zelle Cash, and you shill this coin for the price of a super chat." No, what I did was I promoted somebody's comment midstream and their question midstream in exchange for a super chat. Those are the rules of this platform. And if you follow my content on BitTube and you send me 5,000 tube coins, I'm not sending them back. And I'm going to invoke Ron Paul's logic here. If you send me your currency, whatever it is, fiat or crypto, and maybe you're a bad actor, what are you going to use that money for if I give it back to you? If you're a scam coin, or if you're a bad actor, maybe, I'll use the worst possible example, you fund terrorism with your cryptocurrency, and I send it back to you, what are you going to use it for? I know what I'm going to use it for, and it's to create more objective and unbiased media. So I gladly accept donations. I'm not going to turn them down. It's very generous, and again, thank you, Agent Smith, for the kind super chat from before, and the very thoughtful questions, and the support of a project that wasn't yours. So I wasn't really shilling your project. I'm talking to Jeff about his project, Safecoin. So really briefly, just put that one to bed. Yeah, put that one to bed. But I do not accept bounties, and I do not require bounties from teams. So that's the running gag. Jeff did not send me 25,000 Safecoins. Jeff, did I send you a list of questions per se before the interview?
I did get a list of questions, actually. Yeah, I did.
Now, there's a longer story to that, and I'm gonna call out Jeff's secret brilliance, his mad genius. So I mentioned to Jeff that my questions are pretty much an open book, and if he looked up any other interview that I had done, he would be pretty well prepared for the level of high level questions that I ask and the timbre of the conversation. And so, to his credit, he went out of his way to actually watch one of my interviews, and he wrote down the questions.
Our team did that, actually. And on a related note, so I didn't send you any coins. So just to be clear, there were no coins sent. And actually, our whole team was a little bit terrified of this interview, so they put the questions together. You've already kind of made a name for yourself as being a fairly objective interviewer, and asking, not awful questions, but real questions. Like, you've asked coined questions to try to be objective and to give investors and community members and a transparent perspective. So you've already kind of got that reputation. My team is a little bit nervous. So that's why I do already kind of know what you ask. And it is because you're very objective and you ask some real questions.
Well, I appreciate you following up there. I definitely appreciate you going back, setting the record straight. There's some people who just like they can't tell the difference between a good-natured joke, right, and people just speaking seriously. So I appreciate you setting the record straight there. And this is one of the most important questions, and it's kind of serious. So on kind of a serious note, but 5 to 10 years from now, win, lose, or draw, regardless of the outcome, simultaneous EMP hits every major metropolitan area around the world. All nodes are shut down. Something catastrophic happens. Something just happens, right? Something just happens 5 to 10 years from now. And people look back on your project and your team and your efforts. What do you want them to remember from this phase of development on Safecoin?
Well, first of all, 5 to 10 years from now, we'll just be completely ending our proof of work phase. So that'll be happening around then. We want to be around a long time, and hopefully, we will still be fresh in people's minds. I'd really like this brand and our team and our community to be around for many, many years to come. We have a very young, talented team and great technology. And I believe, with any luck, that we can be a player 10 years from now. And people won't remember too much about our start. They'll be more interested in what we're doing right then.
Awesome. Well, definitely looking at the roadmap, looking at some of the sticky problems that many other coin projects haven't been thinking about until now, and what you've laid out, essentially the high level problem statements that you've laid out to try to tackle, regardless of the path you take to try to solve those problems. The fact that you're focused on those problems, I don't doubt that if you maintain the level of focus, ambition, and passion that you're bringing to the project, you'll have that shot. It'll be yours to lose 10 years from now.
Thank you. Yeah. Nope. It's ours to lose for sure.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, be sure to check out the Safecoin project I've listed. If I don't already have it in the description down below, go ahead and check it out. Where are you most active right now? Where can they get a hold of you? Discord? Telegram? What's best?
Discord, to be honest. I'm on Discord all the time. Telegram too. Probably about 70% Discord, 20% Telegram, 10% sleeping.
All right, guys, send caffeine, send coffee to Canada. Awesome. Great having you on the show. Really appreciate you being willing to do this for the community and just being really transparent, vulnerable, and real.
Thanks very much, Seth. Really appreciate it. Stay safe.
Okay. All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, I've actually just